Now that I have my first insulation layer done, the walls and the roof, I thought I'll do my second stage of room acoustic analysis to see what difference is actually going to make the insulation, the first layer of it. Now it will have a lot of effect because I can already can tell from my voice what I can hear inside with the insulation with no gyprock or drywall on. So all of the sound in this room is pretty much being absorbed by the insulation. Now that's not soundproof because the sound still goes out because there's nothing sealing the room yet. I still don't even have a door. But the sound in here, there's pretty much no more echo. It's practically dead. Now with the testing that I'm going to do now with Room EQ Wizard, I'm going to run analysis and to see how different it'll be, especially the waterfall effect. Now the waterfall graph tells us how quickly a sound is actually dying. So I'm just looking at the graph, which I will show you on the screen, of the waterfall before any insulation was in here. And as you can see, especially in the lower frequencies, about the 120, 130 hertz, we have quite a bit of fall there. So over 300 milliseconds. It can't go even any further than that. So there's a lot of sound still taking its time to decay to the lowest level, which is down to minus 45 dB and so on, or 45 dB. And if you look at the graph, you see what I mean. So I have my microphone set up, same as before, same location in the middle of the room, no particular soft spot yet. And then I've got the speaker, the same place as the first initial one is, and I've already done my room level for 75 dB of white noise, and I'm just going to run and see what waterfall we're going to get. Well, let's look at the comparing the graph as well and see what we're going to get. So a new measurement. Okay, so we now have a new graph. Let's have a look at the graph. I don't expect it to be much different from the first one, only because the room size hasn't changed. Very tiny bit because of the insulation. So let's just compare that one with the overlay it with the first one. Okay, what we're looking at is the graph difference between the blue one being without insulation, and the purple one is a new one that I just did. So as you can see, the peak, which is about 130 hertz, that's actually got a little bit lower and moved up to 182 hertz, which is actually a better response. And then all of these dips around 3.3K or 3.5K is actually has come up, and now we have a dip around 5.8K and then goes back up again. So the insulation definitely did have some effect on the graph. I wasn't expecting that, but there you go. I could be wrong. Until we measure it, it's a bit hard to know. So that's what the new graph looks like. So it definitely has changed since. Now the other interesting one would be is the waterfall. That's just going to generate that. Wow! Now that waterfall looks so much better. We have a peak of about 60-65 hertz, where it's taken over 300 milliseconds, but majority of them is actually less than about 100 milliseconds. So that's quite good. So that's quite low. So the decay is much faster than what we were looking at on the last one we did back in December. As you can see, you know, there's definitely longer decay time without the insulation, and as soon as we put the insulation in, they pretty much die up at the same time, you know, and past about 140 hertz or so. That's when you get a little bit more, about 100, probably 120 milliseconds, and then we've got a little bit of peak way below that. So this is a good result. This is a very good result. That means the sound, it just dies straight away. So no echo, which is true. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, this will change as soon as the gyprock goes on. Now, what this proves is that having the two layers of the insulation, that means sound going in from the first insulation, it will get dampened down. When it hits the outside wall insulation, it will practically die. And whatever reflects back from the outside wall to the inside wall is pretty much dead and gone. So that's how effective it's going to be with two walls and double insulation, and that air gap in between that will allow sound to most likely no more than once back and forward reflection, and the sound is dead. So you'll have less chance of going out of this room. I hope that makes sense. You know, that's the whole idea of it. And you got to make sure that these two walls are not touching each other, so that the sound is not passing on from one structure to the next, but going through the gyprocks, the dual layer of gyprocks, through the first insulation to the air gap, and hitting the outer insulation, and pretty much, as you can see with the graph, pretty much dying very, very quickly before it even gets a chance to go outside the room. And whatever is reflected back, then that's get absorbed and dies again. So, you know, we're looking about 75 down to 40 with one installation. So, you know, about 30 dB or so of sound transmission loss. So not bad, and that's only one. So you double that, that should give you pretty much 60 dB of, you know, technically 60 dB of sound transmission loss. Pretty good. Well, I'm quite happy with the result, and hopefully very soon we'll finish off, and we'll do a few more tests as it progresses. Once I finish the second layer of the insulation of the inner structure, inner wall, we do another test and see how much difference that will make. Till next time.